Good afternoon. I'm Doug Loud, speaking for O&M Partners, and I want to welcome everyone to the Golden Arrow Resources Town Hall webinar. Just so you know, Golden Arrow trades on the TSXV in Canada and on the OTC here in the United States. For the people who like the symbols, the TSXV symbol is GRG and the OTC symbol is GARWF. For those of you who are new to these broadcasts, O&M acts as a link between the investing public and public companies. Some people feel that in past times these groups passed each other like ships in the night, but O&M has developed a digital roadmap that enables us to keep pace with the tremendous changes in investor demographics and how they receive information. We want this broadcast to answer all of your questions. Questions will be easily answered by going to the question panel of the GoToWebinar itself or by emailing the questions. For any questions that remain unanswered, we'll follow up in a timely manner after the call. Today, however, first, we're going to hear from Joe Grosso. Joe is the Executive Chairman, CEO, and President of the company. Joe became one of the early pioneers of the mining sector in Argentina in 1993, when mining was finally open to foreign investment again. His knowledge of Argentina was instrumental in attracting a premier team, which led to the acquisition of key properties in Golden Arrow's portfolio. He successfully formed strategic alliances in negotiating with mining industry major organizations and government officials at all levels. Now here's Joe.
And thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. It is very challenging for a person who has spent 27 years to recap it in 5 minutes, but I'll see what I can do. But if anybody needs more information, everyone should know that we're available to answer questions in the future. Argentina was an agricultural country, the 8th largest in the world, almost 3 million square kilometers. We arrived after the invitation in 1992. We came in 93. 93, we felt that with the scarcity of even hearing the word mining, we were in the right spot, coming from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. So we organized a review country-wise as far as we could have the best geologists to scout for us. And we were astonished to see nearly 5,500 kilometers from Chile, and for a total of 9,500 kilometers of international borders. Unbelievable. 3 times the size of Los Angeles and New York. This is the size of the Argentina that was not in the mining business, just a few that could not be really called organizing mining. I was obviously looking from Vancouver in the mining business to see how I could break through a country that doesn't even know practically how to spell mining, because they were always for centuries in agriculture. We succeeded in having given a chance by everyone that we deserve the chance to review the trends, the geological trends that were coming in from the 5 countries that we were surrounded. The first one, of course, 550,000 kilometers with Chile, and in total 5 countries surrounding for a total of 9,500 kilometers of international borders. Just incredible. So the results of our study, it was like winning a mining lottery ticket, seeing that Argentina was quasi totally unexplored. And that, of course, called for some persuasive future plan that we followed and we accumulated over the years. 254,000 hectares of properties that we advanced as much as we could. Well, money was always very scarce for exploration. So what we had to do, the trends that we followed give us discoveries, pre-feasibility discoveries. And rather than raise money and dilute our shareholder unduly, we sold the 2 discoveries, and we put all the money, 34 million. We put $34 million altogether between raising money and selling discoveries to come up with the work in progress geology, a greater number of property that we were able to advance. And the other one that we sold recently, and we sold it for $44 million. So our company has materialized the funds available to have a portfolio of property advances that deserves to be taken to discoveries. We are at the moment, financing wise, we have about $30 million cash and cash equivalent, and we will be spending the money to advance the most advanced geology work in progress. And number 2, we will be looking and scouting. We have our technical team to scout for projects which we can acquire at a token of the price that were developed. And we I ask that the ones which are interested to check with our listings, and without a question, we are always here available for your questioning at an office. That's all I get for 27 years in Argentina. I hope I can get the more from you, the audience.
Thank you very much, Joseph. We're now going to hear from Brian McEwen, who's the Vice President of Exploration and Development, and will take us through a review of the company. Brian is a professional geologist with more than 30 years of exploration and production experience in open pit and underground mining projects and operations around the world. Brian's previous roles include more than a decade with MRDI, where he was responsible for project management, economic resource and reserve calculations for the various precious base metal companies worldwide, including BHP Billiton, CM Antamina, Teck, Hochschild, and Phelps Dodge, among others. It should be very interesting. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you very much for that. Can I get rid of this the screen here, the picture of me?
Yeah, you can just drag it down to the bottom and
Okay,
push it
it's
out of the
quite
right.
big. Oh, there we go. I just covers up too much of the slide. Hi, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Joe. I think that Golden Arrow is unique when it comes to looking at junior companies. It has earned a very good reputation in the market. I'm going to go through exactly what we mean by when we say we've got value from our success and we see great growth in the discovery. Sorry. This is the cautionary notes. I will be making some forward-looking statements, and just so you've all been warned. A lot of this stuff Joe touched on. I'm going to go through it in just a little bit more detail. Golden Arrow is a member of the Gross Group companies. Been working in Argentina since 1993 with great success. Have 4 major discoveries to the name: the Guacamayo mine, the Navidad project, Chinchillas, which is the one that we just monetized, and then our sister company, Blue Sky Uranium, the Amarillo Grande project in Rio Negro. Joe has been very successful. The company has been very successful in moving these projects forward. A lot of that has to do with the approach and to get in there with the community relations and forming those relations and making everybody part of what we're doing as we move these projects forward. I think this investment highlights, it really explains the success of the company and the position we're in. Proven management. I've got a group of people with, I added up years of people that are, of the people on our list, and there's, you know, over 150 years experience from all us old guys. Been working in the industry with great success, taking projects from drill holes to building mines. Strong financial position right now. As Joe mentioned, we've got about $30 million in cash and cash equivalents, largely due to our selling our 25% of Puna operations to SSR Mining. And we've got a great portfolio. We've got some excellent projects I'm going to go through. We're really kind of precious metals focused, as well as some of the other areas that we've got under our name that we're looking to join venture. So we've got proven management, strong portfolio, and the money to move these projects forward. And this is a list of our people. As I mentioned, we've got probably more than 150 years experience of the people in here. A very strong technical group with a lot of success. And this is a picture. This is what success looks like. This is our Chinchillas operation, or was our Chinchillas project. The mine was being developed, and now it's run by SSR Mining. And it's got a very successful story here. And this is a model that we look to follow on our other projects. We discovered Chinchillas in 2012. We moved ahead quickly with the resource estimate and the PEA, and then we attracted SSR Mining to get involved. We formed a business combination deal. We monetized that part of it, went through positive feasibility, and then into commercial production. It's amazing to take a project from drill holes to commercial production in just 6 years, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the expertise within the group. So we monetized that last year, our 25%, and that left us now with cash equivalent in cash of about $30 million. And this is what growth and discovery is about. We've got a lot of projects that are in the portfolio right now. We're looking to JV these. This is one of the projects that we're dealing with right now. This is our Puerto Rios project in San Juan, and you can see across the valley, 8 kilometers away, the Barracks Valadero mine, currently at just over 5 million ounces in their reserves. We've got a very strong project pipeline. Right now we're concentrating mostly on precious metals with the gold focus, but we have recently picked up a base metal project as well that I'm going to mention. We saw being in Argentina as a very good thing, but we thought also that it was probably a good time to diversify and start looking a little further afield. And so we've picked up projects now in Paraguay, a district scale area there that's been very explored. We've got new projects in Argentina that we're moving ahead. And then we got into Chile. Chile is very interesting because there's a lot of advanced projects, and when we find the right project, we'll be able to advance that very quickly. So we think we've got the areas covered very well, and we'll be able to move these forward quickly. As I say, Argentina is a success story for the Grosso Group after 27 years, 4 discoveries, and still holding on to a lot of property. I think we have about 185,000 hectares, probably more with the stuff that we've recently picked up. And they range from everything from large porphyries to epithermal gold. And we're attracting a lot of attention from the majors to do JVs on these projects. And I think we'll be seeing some success on that in the near future. Right now, we're concentrating on an area of Rio Negro. We think that that's a mining friendly province within Argentina with our Flecha de Oro project. In Flecha de Oro, we've got 3 properties. They're totaling 140 square kilometers, 14,000 hectares. The La Esperanza project, the Puzzle project, and the Maquinchao project. These are all high and low sulfidation gold projects. They've got very attractive terms, and we've had great success on them so far. Looking at the area, what attracted us there is just to the south of us, south of Rio Negro, you get into Santa Cruz, and there's the Cerro Vanguardia area, and that's been a very successful area down there. Anglo Gold or Anglo American are mining there. There's other successful mines operating, and it's very similar in nature to what we see in Rio Negro. 100 square kilometers, there are 100 epithermal veins. They've taken about 4.5 million ounces of gold out of there in the last 20 years, and we're hoping to maybe find something similar to that in Rio Negro. This is just some maps showing the work that we've done on our Esperanza project. You can see by the results, had some very interesting gold grades, 24 grams over 2 meters, 18 grams over 0.7. We are seeing visible gold in some of the veins. You can see that to the bottom. And what we find really interesting in these veins is we've got a subset of veins that have shown very high base metal results. So we've got 100 grams of silver, 3% copper, and so it's a very interesting project, and we're looking at getting in there and doing some trenching as soon as things open up a little bit. In Chile, as I mentioned, it's I think the home for finding advanced projects, and we've got a real push on here to do that. While we were in there looking at a lot of properties, we happened across an area that nobody had staked. It was open ground. It's called the Rosales project. It's a copper project. So we managed to pick that up for free. There's a small operating mine on the property that's available to us if we want. We have 1,450 hectares there. We've already picked up at that other 900. It's just excellent infrastructure around. It's 90 kilometers from Copiapó. We've done a surface program here. We just completed it a little while ago, and we've got these 3 main targets of very high grade copper. You can see the North project, 5.7% copper, 4.6% copper, and that's very similar to the high grades that they were getting out of the Margarita mine. I think this could be a real surprise for us, and a very attractive target that, as again said, we should be able to move these forward very quickly. And lastly, but certainly not least, is Paraguay. We happened upon getting into Paraguay by looking at a different project that was very attractive to us. It was an operating mine, and when we got down there, we started talking to the locals and realized that nobody had really done any staking or exploration of any sort in Paraguay. It was kind of a wide open area, and he took us to an area, and in this picture on the bottom left, it's Hugo Carranza, our chief geologist. This is a vein. We have to dig these veins out of the farmers' fields, and I went down there, and on the first time I hit the rock, I found visible gold in the sample, and we've gone on to sample some of these veins. We've been working in the southern area, this Alvaro district. We actually hold 64,000 hectares of property in Paraguay, by far the largest of anybody. What's interesting about this, one of the things that's very interesting about this is that it's got different geology than what you look at in much of the South America, and that's because it's more similar to the gold you find in South Africa back before the continent split. So they're that kind of age rock. They're 600 million to 1 billion years old, and that's just a little geology for you. But we're working now on the Alvaro project, and we've had some good results up in the north on our other property. We're doing a lot of stream sediment sampling and more regional work. But most of our work's been focused on Alvaro. And you can see why. The chip sampling that we had in here, and looking at like in trench 1 here, 59 grams per ton gold, 36 grams. And showing 4, we had 47 grams. We've had samples in and around here up as high as 143 grams. The issue with working in at Tierra Dorada, our project in Paraguay, has been the lack of outcrop, subcrop. So we've been having to dig these trenches out. So what we've done is we've applied to move a drilling program in here, and I got word this morning that we got our permit this morning. We got our permit this morning, and we'll start drilling next week. And so all of these veins that we see, we'll be able to sample very quickly, to move over them and get an idea of what we're really looking at here. But we could have a real tiger by the tail here based on the results we've seen so far. So if I looking at what's gonna happen, or what could move the stock here over the next half of the year, you know, fighting the coronavirus and the shutdowns have been very difficult, but we have been able to keep busy, flying under the radar, looking at a lot of projects right now, a lot of advanced projects. As Joe mentioned, there are projects out there that we can pick up at reasonable rates, companies that haven't been able to raise money and have good projects. And so we're looking at a lot of different things right now. But getting word that we're going to be able to drill in Paraguay is great news, and we'll be having results of that coming out from in the coming months. Rosales project, we've got a contract geologist working in Chile. We've finished phase 1. He's going to finish. Now we're going to go into phase 2, expanding that program. We may follow it up with some geophysics. We're also picking up more open area around Rosales. Flecha de Oro, there's been no travel allowed between provinces in Argentina. I got word this morning that some of those travel restrictions could be raised as early as next week, and then we'd be able to get our guys back on the ground at Flecha de Oro. But rest assured, they're not sitting around. There are a lot of other projects that they've been out scouting and prospecting, and our guys are keeping busy. And I think that we're going to have great success, despite the fact that we're fighting these shutdowns. And with that, I'm going to leave it to Nico to take over with the capital structure and close this out.
Nico Kakos is going to talk to us. He's a director and vice president in corporate development. Nico brings over 25 years of management and advisory expertise in the mineral exploration industry. He's worked with the Grosso Group since inception and serves as a senior level executive for all the member companies. Mr. Kakos's career includes administration and strategic planning for public companies, and he currently serves as an officer and director of a number of TSX Venture Exchange listed companies. And if I've mispronounced his name, I apologize.
Thank you with that, Doug. Thank you with that, Doug, and I confirm that your pronunciation was spot on. Thank you, everybody, to continue with the presentation. Here you've seen a slide that shows the capital structure of the company, just under 120 million shares issued and outstanding, and with around $30 million in our bank. We're sitting at a market cap probably around between 22 and $25 million right now. Next slide. Whoever's. And with that, as you know, as we have heard, just to wrap up this whole presentation, we've heard, you know, when you evaluate what we've heard so far, Golden Arrow is an exploration company that cannot be compared to any other in this space. Golden Arrow's proven management has a nearly 30-year track record of having made 4 discoveries. 2 of those discoveries are in production. 1 is at development stage, Navidad, which also is the world's largest undeveloped, silver deposit, and the other one, Blue Sky Uranium, is at a PEA stage and in a process of hopefully growing. Golden Arrow's treasury, over $30 million, and it gives us the resources to be able to advance our projects without having to seek any further funding, completely de-risking the funding aspect of this, and also reducing any kind of potential dilution. Golden arrows, all the gold, diversified gold portfolio that Brian went over. I think the company's very set up for making discovery potential and for setting up the stage for some exceptional growth. Making discoveries, we've done this before, we can do it again. This is a good time. I invite everyone to evaluate Golden Arrow as an attractive investment. The gold bull market is still at the early stages. The company, we're about to embark on work, including drilling on 3 very high potential projects, and we're just beginning to bring our story to the market. I think we're going to see a rapid evaluation in the valuation of the company in the coming short term, and I invite everybody to take a look at Golden Arrow as a potential addition in their portfolio. At this point, I'd like to thank everybody and welcome all comments and questions. And after the program, if you have any further questions, feel free to contact us. Call Sean Perger at 1-800-901-0058. Thank you.
We're going to turn now to some questions from our panelists. Hans Thoma, are you there? You have a question today? You will have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for the presentation. So at the moment you are very early stage in your project. You don't have anything like the Chinchillas, and you have to build up this portfolio again, but you have the expertise. What is the situation in Argentina? They have trouble again, but is the mining sector in any way negatively impacted, or do you see green light if you have project that you could transfer profits and so?
No, there's no issue with repatriating profits in Argentina. Argentine government is very pro mining. They're very supportive of that. The only I guess hurdle we have is the restrictions on travel between provinces. So that's due to COVID, but that's not afflicting just Argentina. That's a pandemic situation, and like Brian stated, in the next week we may see that lifted.
Another question: what is your burn rate at the moment with all the projects you have? What are you spending a month?
Well, we expect to spend between now and the end of the year about $2 million, which includes drilling and exploration budgets on the program. So that's over 6 months, and the numbers are Canadian.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Maxwell Vandervelde, do you have some questions today?
Yes. Do you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You just said there isn't a problem in Argentina. I thought Argentina was still putting a 15 or 20% export tax on anything coming out of there, which has affected some mining companies.
Well, there's a temporary tax that's been imposed there, but that's not hindering any operations. As far as I know, the mining companies that are operating there are continuing to operate.
Yeah, but that temporary tax has been for 2 years now. I mean, do you really believe it's temporary? I don't.
Joe, do you want to address that?
Well, there are 29 major companies operating, and no one is leaving. I don't know if that answered the question. 29 of the biggest company are in Argentina and staying. So I go back 25 years ago when one American dollar was equal to an Argentinian peso. Today, an American dollar gets 120 pesos. So the production's more than justify the taxes that Argentina have to charge in order to exist. The mining industry is not afraid. We stay there and we will. It's a good place to be.
Okay, the other question, 30 million in cash and cash equivalents, and then you showed 675,000 shares of SS. Or is that part of the cash, or is that in addition to the cash?
That's
It
part
is,
of,
it is part of the cash for sure.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, when we made a deal with them, their shares were $19. We recognized the potential of the company as a whole. And we felt wise in maintaining those shares, and we will. And we still have a lot of confidence that they will go up significantly.
Okay. Thank you very much.
While we have a minute, let me, Doug here, ask a quick question. Having been to Copiapó, I was intrigued by your Rosales project. What altitude is that project at?
It's not high at all. It's down in the lower plateau. It's, I think, 1,400 meters or something. It's not high.
Oh, 4,000 meters? Oh, gee.
1,400.
Great, great. Scott, do we have any questions from the audience that have been sent in?
We certainly do. We have quite a few, so I'll get started. First one is, what is the timing of the next PEA you expect from current discoveries?
From the current discoveries, we have the PEAs a ways out. I mean, there's some steps we need to go. We've got to establish a resource and go through that step of the 43-101, and then the PEA after that. Any of the projects we're working on now, we'll have to drill out, and so a PEA on the current projects would probably be, I don't know, several years before we got to a PEA. But we are looking at a lot of advanced projects right now, where we'd be able to advance those much quicker than the ones we currently have on the books.
Great, thank you. When do you target start of drilling at Flecha de Oro in Argentina?
The plan was to have drills on all three of our projects before the end of the year. And of course, that's been put in the ditch because of the pandemic. So everything's been kind of delayed. If we do get into, if they do relax the travel restrictions next week, and we get in there and start trenching, we could be still drilling probably the end of the year, maybe early 2021.
Okay, great. What are your plans for exploring the Rosales copper project in Chile? And there's a subnote, it's the company's newest project and was acquired by staking.
Yeah, the Rosales is really an interesting project with the high grade copper. We're gonna, now that we've expanded the area out, we're gonna continue doing the surface work. We want to do some geophysics to see if we can see any of the further trends, and then we will drill it. With the little operating mine, we're able to go underground and get a good view of the structures and stuff as well. So I think that Rosales is something we could be able to advance quite quickly.
Great, thank you. The next question is, does the company have a feel for when first assays can be reported from their current drilling program at Tierra del Dorado in Paraguay?
Well, we hope to be starting drilling next week, and then by the time we drill it off, it be another probably a month and a half before we start seeing any assays from that.
Okay, thank you. I noticed there was a considerable amount of selling through Anon last week. Is that institutional selling?
I think I think the question answers that. It's Anon. It's difficult to say if it's an institution or if it's individual. I think it's at this point, our stock is mostly held by retail. So it could be one individual, it could be many individuals, it could be a small institution. We're not sure. I doubt that it's an institution because this is not the time to be. Institutions have typically been buying, but I'm just speculating here.
Fair enough, thank you. Another stock-related question: when will the company initiate the share buyback program?
The share buyback program has been in place since we announced it, and has been in the market as we speak now. It's underway.
Great, thank you. Who are the largest shareholders, and how much do insiders own?
Largest shareholders are, I guess, would be Joe Grosso and family and friends and insiders. I would speculate that insiders would own friends and family own anywhere between 25 and 30% of the company.
Okay, thank you. Can you provide a breakdown of the share structure?
Yeah, there was that slide. Let me pull it up here, and I'd be happy to speak to that.
Let me make sure you can show your screen again, Brian.
That's okay. I could speak to that.
Oh, okay.
Got 119 million shares that are issued. We've got some warrants, 22 million shares outstanding, 6.5 million options. So fully diluted, we're sitting just shy of 148 million shares.
Great. And a follow-up question was just asked about the buyback. How many were bought during the share buyback?
During the share buyback, we've bought close to maybe 600,000 shares, approximately, to date.
Okay, thank you. How many of the SSR shares were sold? I'm sorry? How many of the SSR shares were sold and how many are left?
I believe the slide showed there's the most recent one, I think there were 695,000 shares sold. So just under 600,000 shares have been sold to date. Just a little under half our initial holding.
Okay, great. And this question, as a shareholder, I'm curious as to what is your opinion as to why the equity price isn't moving higher?
Well, I mean, when you look at, right now, I think we're at that inflection point where things are going to change. The drill program beginning in Paraguay are beginning to do work again in Flecha de Oro in Argentina and working away in Chile as we see results starting to come into market. I think the market will begin to evaluate the company differently, more based on the results and the financial resources that are going to be used in application of furthering this project than in the previous period.
Great, thank you. What is the advancement and plans of your lithium projects in Argentina?
We don't have any lithium projects in Argentina with Golden Arrow. We're probably talking about our sister company.
Maybe that's true.
I'd be happy to discuss that outside of this forum.
Of course, thank you. Which project do you foresee having the best chance of getting a resource estimate, and what would be the time frame?
Brian?
Any one of these projects that we're looking at right now could be a company maker. They all have very, very strong potential, and I think they're all out of the gate at the same time. They're in the same position. I mean, we're just scratching the surface in Paraguay. We have 60,000 hectares to look at. It's hard to say when we would look at really trying to do a resource on that or one area. And it's the same thing with the stuff in Rio Negro. Probably the most concentrated project we have right now is Rosales. And if we were to go ahead and do that, as I mentioned, that'd be a couple of years out.
Great. And I think this is the last question from the audience, but they are pouring in, so there might be some more coming. And I know you already did answer this, but it just came in, so maybe someone missed it. How much do you expect to spend in 2020?
Well, what remains of 2020 is somewhere around $2 million.
Okay, great. Well, I think that is all the questions from the audience. If one does come in, I'll let you know, and we'll get them to you to answer back to the investors. But thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
So, gentlemen, I think that's all the questions. So if you have any last words, and we can then move to close. This has been very interesting.
I would like to have I'd like to make a comment. The comment is that we have sold the discoveries to pay and go forward in developing our portfolio properties. So we have not gone back to the market too readily, because the market in the last 10 years has not been very supportive of the mining business. So as far as we're concerned, we have been very bullish being in Argentina and seeing that we had ourselves a mining ticket to discoveries. So we have sold the discoveries and developed more properties, more value in progress, more geology in progress. And that is really the most important thing. If you want to have a production, you got to have discoveries. You have no discoveries, you got no, you will not have any production. So we are in the mid-tier area at the moment that we're concentrating a great deal in building our values in the area of Brian McEwen, our VP exploration, and his team scouting, doing exploration, and building. We have not taken to the air and try to do advertising in trying to attract shareholders. Shareholders can be attracted by looking at us, who we are, and I'm inviting them to do that.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Anyone else like to make comments?
No, would like to thank the audience for taking the time to listen to our presentation. And again, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to call us. Call Sean at 1-800-991-0058. We're happy we can answer all your questions, and we wish you all a very good evening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good summer.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you all.